When did you first realize you and TJ had something going, Chris?
We were together 29 years, as you know, on TV. Primetime for, 19. And he, really quick.
Sure.
Not to overstate things, but by 87, I had met a lot of the players who were really good. Tommy played 14 years, many Pro Bowls, etc. I had not met Tom yet. Mm-hmm. So when he came in for his audition, I'll tell you this story. He was the 7th of 7. The last guy never gets, or lady never gets the job, right, Rich?
Right. Right.
But he just wowed everybody by just being himself. And there were two things that stand out in the very beginning. One was when we went over what we were going to do, and I did the auditions. Not that I had anything to do with choosing, really, Steve Anderson and above. But, okay, we're going to go over this highlight. We'll look at it several times, and, we'll get technical, blah, blah, blah. And then for 10 or 15 minutes, we're just going to talk about football. And he looked at me, Rich, like a little kid going, "You mean we're just going to talk about football?" I said, "Yeah, don't worry about the cameras. You and I are just having a discussion." It was like the most innocent but relieved look I ever saw. And then, week 1, 1987, our first week of primetime, our first week, and game day then, as you remember, we were watching all the games at 1 in the war room, as we do.
Yeah.
It's like 1:30, somebody hit a big hit, right? And Tom goes, "Wow, look at that hit." And I went, "Hold on. Tom, isn't that what you did for 14 years as a linebacker with the Broncos?" And he went, "Well, maybe, but look at that hit." He was a fan instantly of a game that he excelled at for 14 years. So the answer was almost immediately to answer your question.
Yeah, you had it at hello. And I just, remember that show essentially. I mean, it made fans out of the game, Chris. There's just no two ways about it, because I remember growing up, as I'm sure you remember for sure as well, was Cosell doing the highlights of Monday Night Football at halftime. And I remember my brother and I would get pissed when the Jets were not making that montage. We felt we were disrespected that Cosell did not put that, or whatever producer didn't put it in at the time. And to me, like, that show was in that vein. Like, that Primetime was the natural ascension of that Monday night highlight segment, the evolution.
Absolutely. Those Monday night highlights were revered because you remember, you didn't see all the games, except if you happened to get that NFL film show toward the end of the week, right? So Primetime was an hour of show me if it was 51-45, not as much in those days, but let's just say it's a wild game. Why don't you go 6 or 7 minutes on that? It was the 3rd and 3 in the mud, up by 2, minute and a half to go. You made a 4-yard run, but it clinched the game. We could show that too. You never saw those plays. So here's the thing that as I look back at it, and it was really on my professional tombstone. That's going to be really high. I would think it's my favorite show, obviously, and we shared it with football fans. We shared it with people in football. I would watch it whether Tom and I were doing it or you and another analyst were doing it. You had to see it. It was, well, if Seattle and Arizona had a wild game, here you go. We never saw that. So it was a great invention. Steve Bornstein, Pete Rozelle kind of together thought it up with, I guess, with me in mind at the time. I don't know. Well, I do know, but
sure.
It also, as I found out later, Rich, was a gathering place for our industry. And I don't really mean the the sportscasting, although sure it was, but the football industry. I remember at an owners meeting, and I was floored. Early, like late 80s, Don Shula came up to me, "Hey, I really enjoy watching your show." I said, he goes, "It really helps me with teams down the line." I said, "Wait a minute, Coach. You have game film. We're not showing you what you need to see." He goes, "I know, but let's say we're playing the Dolphins are playing the NFC East this year, haven't seen them for, 4 years. And I'll start paying attention to the Giants or the Redskins on your show 4 or 5 weeks ahead. Sometimes make a couple of notes of some things I see, and then we get within a week or two, and I'll have the guys go find and look at those aspects of what I saw on NFL Primetime. And I went, if Don Shula is watching NFL Primetime to help him win games, it must be pretty good.
Yeah,
right?
you're onto something. You're on something. That's fantastic.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live or download the Rich Eisen Show app.